Go.
I met Miss Nargis, I think it was the first year I began working at Bayou Woods. And she, or maybe, yeah, it was at Bayou Woods, and I'm not saying, it might not have been the first year. But I had car ramp duty, and Miss Nargis brought her students to Bayou Woods, and she also picked them up in the evening. And it was in the evening she was picking them up, and I was standing there and put the children in the car, and she said, hey, and it must have been first part of June, the last summer. She said, what are you doing this summer? And I said, I haven't made any plan. She said, well, would you like to come and work for me? And I said, we'll see. She said, come by. And she gave me the address, and I stopped by and talked to her. She interviewed me, and she made plans, and I started working for her during that summer. And then I continued the summer. When school started, I would work for her. Sometime I would work for her before school, and if she needed me after school. So I did that for many years.
So what was the school like back then?
Children's college. Yeah. The learning environment always was very warm, and I felt blessed to work here because Ms. Nargis was so involved in teaching children in the children's education, and she treated each child special. And it was something about it. I enjoyed her, and I felt a warmth that was you just made me want to be a part of Children's College. And her two sons, they were also very, very warm, and they were young at the time, but we had it was just like a great relationship from the beginning.
What were we like when we were young?
Very active. Iqbal was always a little on the serious side. Isis was always rumping around and playing and doing things. He might run up to you and jump on you. If you stoop over, he might run and jump on your back, or just, he was always just full of life, always into a lot of different things. So it was interesting to see them grow up.
What are some lessons that you've learned from life?
Oh boy.
Like, what is advice that you can give young people today about like how to live a good life?
Well, my advice to any young person is to first get to know God, get a relationship with God, because He's the source of our lives. To do your best at whatever you do, to set goals, believe in yourself, believe in God, believe that you can do all things with God, with the help of God. There's a scripture to say, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Never doubt yourself, never put yourself down. Say to yourself, I'm somebody, I'm special, I'm smart, I'm the best. Be the best that you can be every day. And there's no small job. Anything that you do, do it the best that you can. Put a smile on your face. Smile at the world, and the world will smile back at you.
Where do you comparing America and our society when you were growing up in America today? What do you see has changed, and what do you think the future is going to look like?
To be honest, when I was growing up, it wasn't a whole lot that I saw. I was a teenager before we got a television in our home. So I just knew my family and the people that I interacted with. When I did live in Mississippi, I lived in the rural area, so we didn't, my uncle, I think he had like 40 acres, so there was nobody, when you think of 40 acres, you didn't have any real close neighbors. You had to drive, I looked like walk down the road about a mile or maybe longer in every direction. There were people around us, but we didn't have any next door neighbors living when I lived in Mississippi. And in New Orleans, when I lived in New Orleans, I lived in the French Quarter. I remember living in the French Quarter for a short time, and then we moved in the Desire Project, and I lived in Desire Project for a few years. But the world, it was different. The way people reacted to each other, basically most of the people that I interacted with was family. And then at school, I had people that I would see at school, but it wasn't a whole lot, so I didn't know about a lot of the stuff that was going on. You know, sometime I may see or hear something on the news, and sometime, you know, it really didn't. You know, television wasn't really. If I wanted to watch TV, I would try to watch a comedy, a western, or whatever the older people was watching. But life wasn't as serious until I became a mother. I think my oldest son, I got married at 19. My oldest son was born, and then I began to focus and see things in a different light. And because I was a mother, and I had to, you know, nourish my children, and I want to teach them the right way. And life now is just so, and I can't say, I'm sure, because of how everybody know everything and the travelers, not life now is very different, but, you know, I'm sure people have been through years ago. I'm sure they've had some of the same thing happen in different times, a little bit different, but history has it repeats itself. So there's nothing, the Bible says there's nothing new. But I'm finding that people basically are the same. There are always people who are good, who are trustworthy. There are always people who's out to kind of for themselves. So we just have to learn and accept. I love people and accept people for who they are.
So how do you tell the difference between people who are good and the people that you probably shouldn't be spending too much time with?
Sometimes if I have to be around them, and I try not to judge. When I meet a person, when I first meet them, everybody is excellent, is a perfect person. I try to do that. But as I get to know them, if a person talks a lot, and if I listen, when I listen to their conversation, that tells me a lot about the person. You know, I watch what a person does. I watch how truthful a person is. If I'm around a person for a while, and if I find that they tell like one or two untruths, or they exaggerate. It was a saying that if a person don't tell the truth, they'll steal. And I found that to be, you know, because either way. But I find that most people, that if they're kind and loving, and you can feel it. But you feel it in their action and what they do, how they carry themselves. And I like to see a person that'll reach out and try to help someone that need help, regardless to who they are.
Okay.
Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I think that helps. Yeah. What does your day-to-day life look like? So you wake up in the morning, what do you do?
Well, right now, my schedule is kind of hectic. There's a lady that lived next door to my church. Well, I've known her since I moved in the community. She had a stroke and her left side. And at first she had someone to help her, so I would stop and visit her from time to time. And one day I stopped to visit her, and she was sitting there looking real sad. And she said, I don't have anybody to help me. The person that helped me, she quit and doesn't help me. And I said, okay, I'll help you. And I start, so now I get up in the morning, I try to wake up, I do prayer from 5 to 7. We have a prayer line. And I do my devotion, read my Bible, and do. So then I walk, when the weather's permitted, I walk, it's about close to a mile, half a mile down the road. I walk to her house to get her bathed and dressed and get her. She has a son that'll fix her food and be there most of the time, but he doesn't do her personal care. Then I go back home and do what I'm going to do. And now someday, you know, involved in whatever I can do. I love working in the yards. I like working with flowers. I used to do my own yard, but I don't do it anymore. I get somebody to do it, so I just do the flower beds and the trimming. And I go to work. I have a job that I go to and do that. I said I was retired, but before this little job came along, I would volunteer. I had some volunteer jobs that I did. I delivered food. We had a sewing group, a part of a sewing group, and I volunteered at the school, Alton School, where my children in the neighborhood. So I enjoy doing things. I especially enjoy doing things with children. So volunteering at the school with the kindergarten and first graders that was a great joy for me.
What do you want people to know about your life?
I want them to know that I was a mother, that I loved God, that I tried to live a Christian life. I did my best to live a Christian life, and that I did all I could do to help people, help whoever I needed help that I came in contact with.
Why is helping people so important?
It's important because I think that that's what we should do. And when I was a young girl, and even now, there have been many people that have helped me and have made a change in my life. So I want to give back. But I just enjoy doing something to help someone.
How do you stay so healthy in old age?
Well, I don't know if I'm that healthy. I'm having a little problem now with my high blood pressure. But one thing, I think the fact that I keep busy, I think that when you get old, I'm 76, and I haven't had any serious health problems that some people have had. But I think when we keep busy, when we move our body, use our limbs to do whatever, I think it keeps it healthy. I think once we get in a habit of just sitting down, watching TV, or just sitting down all day doing nothing, that our bones and our joints and everything just kind of relax, and then we get so. And then I think different illness begin to take over the body.
What does it mean to be black?
Well, to me, it is who I am, and I embrace it. I'm going to say in the last 82 years, it makes me feel good. I don't like to use the word proud because the Bible said,